At 40, life doesn't close its doors on you. It opens new ones you never noticed before. You've seen enough to know that excuses don't change anything, but you've also lived long enough to realize this truth. You are still young, far younger than you think. Science tells us the human body can live past 100, even 120, when the spirit stays joyful and the mind stays clear, which means 40 isn't the finish line. It's barely the halfway mark. Think about it. The energy that once carried you into late nights, bold ideas, reckless adventures, it hasn't vanished. It's still inside you, waiting for direction. Yes, the mirror shows a few more lines, but behind those lines are stories of survival, laughter, mistakes, and victories. They are not marks of decline. They are proof that you're equipped for what comes next. The irony is this: the older we get, the less time we feel we have, yet the more capable we are of using it wisely. You already know the traps: habits that steal your mornings, relationships that drain instead of inspire, battles you fight alone. But you also know the opposite is possible. You've felt it before. That surge of clarity when you made the hard choice, or the rush of pride when you pushed through fear. Here's the question you can't avoid. What will you do with the time you have left? How much longer will you trade your energy for things that leave you emptier? Ignore these lessons, and life will remind you the hard way, sharper, colder, and without mercy. This isn't about chasing perfection. It's about stepping into clarity, into strength, into the second half of life with open eyes. And in this journey, I'll share 8 Stoic lessons that speak directly to where you are now. Each one is practical, unshakable, and alive with meaning. And somewhere in the middle, there's a secret waiting to reveal itself. Something small enough to carry with you anywhere, yet powerful enough to guide you for years to come. So take a breath, lean forward, because life after 40 is not decline. It's your chance to rise. Circle, mirror, or cage. Look around you. The people closest to you aren't just faces in a crowd. They are mirrors. They reflect back who you are, what you value, and sometimes what you secretly fear. And here's the hard truth. If your circle doesn't inspire you, it's not a circle, it's a cage. I once watched a man at a company dinner. He didn't like the food, the talk, or the people, yet he laughed at empty jokes, nodded at shallow ideas, and pretended to belong. One colleague told him, "Stick with us. You don't need those crazy dreams." He forced a smile and said, "Of course. I'm not going anywhere." But when he walked out, his shoulders collapsed. The mask had drained him, leaving him heavier, restless, and more irritable than before. He wasn't keeping friends. He was keeping his prison guards. Maybe you felt the same, sitting with people who don't see your potential, who would rather keep you predictable than see you grow. It doesn't always come as open criticism. Sometimes it's subtle. A raised eyebrow when you mention your plans, a silence that follows your enthusiasm, or the casual joke that stings because it hides their discomfort with your ambition. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts," and thoughts are contagious. If your days are filled with small minds, bitter complaints, and low standards, you don't rise above it. You start to match it. That is why your environment isn't neutral. It is shaping you every second. And this isn't just theory. Think of Anthony Bourdain. For years, he was stuck in kitchens where bad habits and toxic company kept him small, even chained. But after 40, he walked away from that cage. He wrote Kitchen Confidential, turned his scars into stories, and the world opened its doors to him. From that moment, his circle expanded into cultures, cuisines, and friendships across the globe. His life didn't shrink with age. It exploded with meaning once he chose better company. Now ask yourself, who sits in your circle today? Who leaves you smaller, quieter, less alive after every interaction? And who, when you walk away, leaves you feeling stronger, clearer, more hopeful? If you're honest, you already know the answer. The Stoics never wasted time on illusions. Seneca said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." It wasn't advice, it was survival. Because when you are over 40, you no longer have the luxury of endless years to correct the influence of wrong company. Your time is too precious. Remember, you can't heal in the same place that broke you. If this part hits you, drop a comment. Tell me about the people who shaped you most. And if you know someone stuck in the wrong circle, share this with them. It might be what they need today. 2. Time is real wealth. Money comes and goes. Status fades. Even health can surprise you with changes overnight. But time is the only wealth that never returns once it is spent. You can earn back dollars. You can rebuild after failure. But you will never get back the day you wasted scrolling, arguing, or clinging to what should have been left behind. I once saw a man in his 50s argue for hours with his neighbor about a parking spot. Red face, raised voice, a whole afternoon consumed by proving he was right. The next morning he looked exhausted, as if the fight had stolen a piece of his life. And it had. Because while he stared backward at a petty conflict, the hours he could have used to exercise, to work, to play with his children, were gone forever. The Stoics never measured wealth in coins, but in moments. Epictetus said, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" That line isn't about material gain, it's about time. Every moment you delay is stolen not by enemies, but by hesitation. How many of us have said, "I'll start next Monday," whether it's the gym, the diet, the book, or even the hard conversation. Mondays multiply, but action doesn't. We laugh at it because it's so human, but behind the humor is tragedy. A man can spend 10 years promising himself next Monday and suddenly realize he has run out of Mondays. Time becomes real wealth when you use it for what builds you. Habits that sharpen your mind, people who make your energy rise, work that stretches your capacity, rest that restores your spirit. It's not about filling every second, but about refusing to waste them on what drains you. So where has most of your time gone this year? Into growth or into regret? Into building or into complaining? Into chasing what matters or holding on to what doesn't? Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Those words echo sharper after 40, because now you know, every hour misplaced is an hour carved out of the life you could have had. We think age steals energy, but the truth is, it gives focus. Less time means sharper choices. So if you remember nothing else from this part, remember this: you can't find tomorrow if you stare at yesterday. And ahead, there's a gift waiting, small enough to carry, strong enough to stay with you for years. 3. Habits decide your future. Every day you are quietly building your future. Not with grand decisions, but with tiny habits. The food you reach for, the way you start your morning, the thoughts you feed when no one is watching. Habits are the invisible architects of destiny. Look at Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. In his 20s, after his football career collapsed, he fell into depression and numbed himself with drinking and bad habits. He admitted, "I didn't want to do a thing. I was crying constantly." Those habits nearly swallowed him. But one decision changed everything. He replaced the bottle with the gym, despair with discipline. What began as therapy became routine, and routine became identity. Decades later, his daily habit of training at 4 a.m. turned him into one of the most disciplined and successful men alive. That's the power of habit. It can chain you, or it can free you. Epictetus reminded us, no man is free who is not master of himself. That mastery doesn't come from willpower in one big heroic moment. It comes from daily choices, repeated until they carve a groove in your character. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. One donut never ruins your health. One missed workout doesn't end your strength. But one donut a day and one skipped workout a week, they add up until the mirror delivers news you can't ignore. That's the paradox. Habits whisper in the moment, but shout in the long run. Excuses age fast. Discipline stays young. And this isn't just about health. It's about how you treat people, how you spend money, how you use your time. Do you default to anger or patience? Do you reach for excuses or solutions? Do you wake up scrolling or wake up moving? Your habits are casting votes for the person you are becoming. Let's be honest. If you kept every habit you live today for the next 5 years, would you be proud of who you'd become or ashamed? Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one that is the power of habit. It turns intention into identity." So if there's one truth to carry forward, it is this. You can't be free while you serve your own habits. If you're still here, hit like. It tells me you want more content like this. And subscribe so you don't miss the next lesson that could change your path. 4. Walking away is strength. Most of us grow up thinking strength means holding on to people, to jobs, to plans that once made sense but no longer fit. We are told that letting go is weakness, that walking away is failure. But the older you get, the more you see the opposite. True strength is knowing when to stop carrying what only weighs you down. My mentor Kai once told me about a man in his village who spent every night in the same tavern with the same faces, trading the same empty stories. The laughter was hollow, the air thick with smoke, but still he returned. When Kai asked why, the man said, "It's loyalty." Kai knew better. It wasn't loyalty. It was fear of being alone, watering dead soil and waiting for flowers that would never grow. Then Kai looked at me and said quietly, "MD, you think walking away will make you smaller? But walking away is the only way you'll grow taller. Some doors are not meant to stay open. They are meant to be closed so that better ones can appear. Loyalty is not staying. Loyalty is growing." Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That clarity applies not only to actions and words, but also to relationships and commitments. If something no longer aligns with your deeper self, pretending it does will only rot your foundation. Have you ever held on to an old shirt because you might wear it again someday? It hangs there, taking up space, reminding you of a version of yourself that doesn't exist anymore. One day you toss it in the donation pile, and suddenly your closet breathes easier. Life is the same. Release what no longer serves you, and suddenly space appears for what does. Think about this. What are you still holding on to out of fear? A habit that drains you? A relationship that keeps you small? A dream that no longer belongs to the person you've become? Seneca reminded us, every new beginning comes from the end of some other beginning. Endings are not failures. They are soil for growth. But you will never plant new roots if you keep running from the truth of what no longer belongs in your life. So let's whisper this, then you will remember so long. You can't grow roots if you never stand still. Stay with me. What's coming isn't advice, it's a compass you'll keep long after this ends. 5. The body remembers everything. After 40, your body is no longer a silent partner. It becomes your loudest storyteller. Every late night you thought you outran, every stress you buried, every shortcut you excused is written in your bones, your breath, your face. The body may forgive when you're young, but it never forgets as you age. I remember Daniel, a colleague who once bragged, "Sleep is for the weak." In his 30s, he worked like a machine, ate whatever was convenient, and laughed at warnings. But by 45, the story changed. His knees ached climbing stairs, his energy collapsed by noon, and the same body he once abused now betrayed him with every heartbeat. He didn't fall from one great tragedy. He was eroded, day by day, by his own neglect. The Stoics knew this truth well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You must build up your life action by action, and be content if each one achieves its goal." Health is no different. Action by action, meal by meal, night by night. You are carving the man you carry into the next decade. Caring for your body isn't about vanity. It's about freedom. The freedom to travel without medicine bottles rattling in your bag. The freedom to play with your kids or grandkids without gasping for breath. The freedom to chase dreams with a body that empowers you instead of chaining you. Ignore it, and your prison won't be other people. It will be your own flesh. On tomorrow morning, what story will your body tell about today? Will it speak of discipline that gave it strength or neglect that made it weaker? Because the body always remembers, and so will you. There's something I promised you earlier, something small enough to hold in memory, yet powerful enough to guide you for years. Not theory, not slogans. A compass, 4 lines that cut through illusion and remind you of who you can still become. Listen closely. Let each line land. You can't heal in the same place that broke you. You can't find tomorrow if you stare at yesterday. You can't be free while you serve your own habits. You can't grow roots if you never stand still. These are not just words, they are doors. And the moment you walk through them, your life changes. The cage you fear is smaller than the freedom waiting outside it. Write them down. Whisper them to yourself when the noise returns. Test them against your choices each day. Because these are not decorations, they are exits. Exits from the cages you've outgrown. Carry them long enough and they will do more than guide you. They will outlive excuses, outlast fear, and remind you that after 40, your life is not fading, it is sharpening. Write them down, tape them to your bathroom mirror, and for 7 days straight, notice which cage you're still living in. But here's the test. Even with wisdom in your pocket, it takes only one reckless moment of emotion to undo everything. And that's why the next lesson matters. Because no man is free if his temper still holds the leash. 6. Emotions are not your master. When we were young, anger felt like power. Raise your voice, slam your fist, and people paid attention. But over 40, you start to see the truth. Anger is not strength. It is surrender. It is giving the steering wheel of your life to whoever knows how to push your buttons. Take Will Smith. For decades, he built a career on charm and discipline. But in one moment of anger at the Oscars, he lost control, and respect slipped away. Roles paused, headlines burned, his legacy overshadowed. Yet he didn't disappear. He owned his mistake, stepped back, and started rebuilding. And let's be honest, none of us are perfect. You, me, all of us. We've all acted shallow or reckless at times. But what matters isn't perfection. It's the courage to face ourselves and build a better version than we were yesterday. The lesson is clear. One outburst can erase years of progress, but self-mastery can rebuild a life stronger than before. Seneca warned us centuries ago. He who angers you conquers you. Think about that. Every time you explode, you hand your power to the very person you wanted to defeat, and the cost is always greater than the victory. Picture a storm. Trees bend, rain lashes down, thunder shakes the air. Everyone runs for cover, but in the middle, one tree stands steady. It bends but does not break. That's the man who has mastered his emotions. He feels the storm, but he remains rooted. Next time anger rises, count your breaths up to 5 before speaking. You'll be shocked how many battles disappear in just 20 seconds. The world will test you. A partner will push your limits. A boss will challenge your pride. A stranger will cut you off in traffic. None of this is cruelty. It is life asking, have you built a center strong enough to withstand chaos? The men who can't hold themselves steady become predictable, easy to provoke, easy to manipulate, always at the mercy of others. But the man who stays calm, he becomes dangerous in the best way. He can't be played, can't be baited, can't be bent. His presence unsettles because people realize they have no control over him. Because at this stage of life, true power is not about how loud you shout. It's about how little the world can shake you. And the real test of mastering emotions, it's not in meetings or arguments. It's in the silence after. I'll show you why in the next part. 7. Boundaries rebuild respect. Most men think boundaries are about pushing strangers away. But the truth is, the most fragile and the most necessary boundaries are with the people closest to us. Because family, love, and friendship carry a dangerous illusion that closeness means permission. My aunt, Irina, who gave everything to her children. Cars before they could drive responsibly, money on demand, trips without limits. She thought generosity would keep them close. Instead, it made them entitled. Gratitude faded, respect disappeared, and every conversation turned into demands. She whispered to me once, I thought my love would protect them, but the more I gave, the more I lost them. And let's be honest, many of us men do the same. We say yes when we should say no. We tolerate disrespect because we confuse it with loyalty. We let our energy, our money, our time be drained because we're afraid of conflict. But here's the twist. The more you allow, the less they respect you. The Stoics saw this clearly. Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. If you can't set boundaries, you're not leading your life. You're surrendering it. Think of it this way. Wearing pants without a zipper might feel fine for a minute. Easy, free, no effort. But soon it turns awkward, messy, even embarrassing. Not because the pants are bad, but because something essential is missing. Relationships without boundaries are the same. At first they feel open, generous, but over time, the missing structure destroys both comfort and dignity. Boundaries aren't walls. They are the lines that teach people how to treat you. And when you finally draw them, people may resist, even accuse you of being selfish. But slowly, respect returns. They may not like it, but they will honor it. So let me call it out clearly. If your family doesn't respect you, it may not be because they are cruel. It may be because you train them to live without consequence. Take a breath and ask yourself now, where in your life are you mistaking sacrifice for love? Where are you confusing endless yeses with strength? Because here's the lesson. True love doesn't erase boundaries. It requires them. And without them, respect dies. 8. Respect is earned in silence. Respect is not something you demand with volume. It's something you command with presence. The louder a man shouts for respect, the clearer it becomes he doesn't have it. But the man who speaks less, who chooses his words carefully, who can sit in silence without fidgeting, that man shifts the whole room without lifting a finger. I remember one evening with Elena, my partner. We were at a dinner where the conversation turned sharp. Everyone talking over each other, trying to win with louder voices. She leaned toward me and whispered, "Why are you so quiet?" I just smiled and kept listening. 10 minutes later, when I finally spoke, calmly, slowly, the whole table went silent. Not because I raised my voice, but because the weight of silence had already done the work. The Stoics knew this power. Epictetus said, "Be silent for the most part, or speak only what is necessary." That wasn't about being passive. It was about conserving power. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is gravity. Silence is not empty. It is full of answers. Think about it. In an argument, the one who shouts loses control, but the one who stays calm keeps the frame. In a family dispute, the one who listens more than he reacts is the one everyone eventually trusts. In business, the man who doesn't rush to fill every gap with chatter becomes the man others look to when the noise runs out. People think noise makes you notice. In reality, it makes you invisible. Silence is what sets you apart. Now let's be honest. You and I both know it's hard. Pride is like a wild horse kicking at its stall, begging you to let it run. Ego is the rider shouting, "Charge now, prove your strength." But when you keep your hands steady on the reins, when you refuse to be dragged into the stampede, you discover the truth. The horse isn't in control. You are. When you no longer chase respect, it arrives. When you no longer demand it, it flows toward you. People sense strength not in the man who fights for every inch, but in the man who doesn't need to. So ask yourself, do you want to be remembered as the man who filled rooms with noise, or the man whose quiet presence made others stand taller just by being near? Because over 40, you don't win by raising your voice. You win by raising your standard. When you reach 40, something shifts. Life stops being a rehearsal. The excuses you leaned on in your 20s, the reckless experiments you made in your 30s, none of them work anymore. At this stage, life has sharpened its edges. Every delay carries a cost. Every wrong circle leaves a scar. Every ignored lesson comes back louder, harder, more relentless. But here is the gift hidden inside of that sharpness. You are not at the end. You are not fading. You are becoming distilled. Like fire that purifies metal, these years strip away illusions, distractions, the voices that never belonged to you in the first place. What remains is truer, stronger, more dangerous in the best way possible. The Stoics knew this long ago. They spoke of circles that either free you or cage you, of time that cannot be returned once spent, of habits that sculpt your future whether you notice or not, of the strength to walk away when something poisons you, of the body that it remembers, the emotions that test you, the boundaries that protect you, and the silence that crowns you with dignity. These are not old words. They are living truths, as urgent now as when they were first spoken. Ignore them, and life will carve the lesson into you with merciless hands. Live them, and you discover a new presence, indeed you, the kind of presence that commands respect without asking, that carries peace into a room like unseen armor, that turns solitude into fuel instead of punishment. And maybe that's the paradox. After 40, people think you're supposed to slow down. But the truth is, this is when you finally see clearly. This is when you no longer need to prove, but to embody. Not to chase, but to build. Not to collect applause, but to command respect through silence, steadiness, and truth. So walk forward now, not with fear of time running out, but with gratitude that you've arrived at the age where truth finally speaks louder than noise. Carry these lessons as fire in your chest. Let them outlast your excuses. Let them replace fear with clarity. Let them remind you every day that life after 40 is not decline, it is your rise. Because the cruelest tragedy is not death, it's a man who lives 60 years but never met himself. But that won't be you. From today, every step you take is proof you're not fading. You are rising, and maybe you're not yet 40, maybe you're 30, curious enough to learn early. Or maybe you're 50, 60, and reading these words with the sting of recognition. Wherever you stand, you are in the right place, because these lessons don't belong to one age. They belong to anyone who dares to rise above illusion and live with clarity. If this spoke to you, subscribe and join me here. We grow stronger together, not alone. Drop your thoughts below and share this with a brother or sister who needs it. Because life after 40 is no joke, and neither are you.